School District number 32 school board meeting has commenced. Let's rise for our flags. Want to lead us, Jerry?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our mission is to provide a supportive and safe learning environment where all students are encouraged and empowered to reach their educational and personal potential. Any changes on our agenda? Since it was sent out to us?
7-2, we still don't have a,
We still haven't heard back from our responsive government partners.
it's DOJ. Yeah, we didn't receive that. I Googled it, not Googled, I searched my email yesterday and I hadn't received it, so
Okay, so
I
we'll
didn't
just
see it come.
leave it out.
Yep, I'll just keep moving that to the next one.
All right, any public comments on our agenda items?
No.
Okay, district reports. Go ahead there. So,
That was fast. Sorry. That came faster than I was anticipating.
sorry.
I have a couple of fun pictures.
I feel like we're late, so I feel like we can move, right?
Yeah, no, we're moving. The official board meeting.
And I'm going to keep it pretty short because I think action items are going to take some time tonight. So,
Right.
I forgot that one. But I always like to include a couple pictures in there. So, a couple things at the elementary. Operation High Five has started, and it's started in PE with Coach Vanessa, and just identifying kind of a put-down culture in competition and trying to do something about it. So it started with Operation High Five and identifying 2 kids per class period who are in charge of positive feedback and high fives, and it's spread out to the rest of campus and working on compliments and encouragement. And we're experiencing some noticeable changes, and then there's some interviews with kids about like how does it feel different versus being put down, a put down, even if you think that's being friendly and connective, those kind of things versus the positive feedback. So if you're out in the cafeteria, that's up there, that's what it's related to. And there's I think it's a race to like 2,000, 3,000, I don't know, that poster keeps going. So
How does it work?
So they're reporting back how many high fives have been given in the different spaces and taking data and that kind of so it's they're working towards a higher number. Full disclosure, I know a lot of this, and when this was up there, I was like, it grew even further. This is fun, and so I've just heard it talked about in different parts. So I don't know when they get to the end what happens, but stay tuned. We'll tell you. So, today was the Thanksgiving is the word that was a good lunch. Did anybody go? Anybody able to go today?
I don't know.
So did you go? Yeah. I ended up pulled into a situation here, so I couldn't get over the hill to join, but they brought me back a plate of food, and it was amazing. So,
Little pumpkin pies.
yeah, little pies and fresh rolls and lots of good turkey and potatoes and what else was on there? It was a full plate. And I know Crystal is back and was working really hard on that meal all week and excited, and it's well attended. Parents come, all the good things. So. That was today. This is actually from this morning as well. I'm just mixing back and forth. I'm not going to keep them separate anymore. This is Political Science 101 students went to the legislative breakfast for United Way this morning. Florence hosted a satellite version. So the big event with all the legislators was in Springfield, and then there was a satellite engagement in Florence, and they came back this morning like, can we go to more stuff like that? Our voice was heard. So they're writing questions here that were given to the legislators who attended and were answered, and like, I think they said 3 or 4 of their questions were addressed, and they were the only students who engaged in the whole county.
Wow.
So, we're gonna keep doing that, and follow up, Linda Hamilton from the board at the ESD connected and wants to come in and talk to the political science class and teach more about, she's a political science major, and those connections. And then 3 people that were there, I'm trying to remember who Leah said, but Saisla Vision and Boys and Girls Club and Saisla Outreach and somebody else were engaging with them and sharing different issues in our region and sharing opportunities for a small grant to pursue. Anyway, it was really cool. They came back like super excited about engaging in the legislative process.
So it wasn't just it's not just for students, it's for...
It's actually like, the United Way hosts this breakfast once a year for like, usually you go and it's a bunch of like big wigs in in all the different agencies. And when they reached out to us and said they had the Florence one, I was like, well, I have a political science class, can they come? And I said, yeah. And
Did Saisla send kids?
we were the only 4 students there.
Wow.
So,
You know, they just, not long ago, they did a survey of kids, how many kids, high school kids would be interested in serving as elected officials. And it was like a big old honkin' zero, very few, because of course, the adults have messed up the system pretty good.
Yeah.
But if you get kids there being heard, wouldn't you think that might encourage kids to want to engage?
yeah.
And express an interest.
Dom's our student body president this year, second from the right.
Yeah.
And he came in this morning. He was so cute. He came walking down. I saw Tristan dressed nice, and I'd forgotten this was this morning.
Dom
and,
always dresses nice.
Yeah, and Tristan looked really nice, and I was like, "You look great." And then when Dom turned the corner, I was like, "Oh, that was this morning." And I said, "Hey, how was it?" And they were beaming, like all 3 of them were turning the corner. And he goes, "Our voice was heard and listened to," and I was like, "You go."
So, getting them there. I mean,
well, and also not me. I mean, I said, hey, what if you do this? But Molly teaches the class, and Leah Dunbar is doing her admin hours out here, and so they all went out together and then there was cool conversation today about, okay, how, based on this, how do we expand it into the next steps for the class? So it was cool.
What kind of things were they?
Their questions.
Yeah.
There was one. Did you get? I'm trying to remember. They told me the follow up was about healthcare and mental health access, and so there was something that connected to that that turned into a larger conversation. They were. Somebody shared to me a conversation about housing and that it's the funding levels haven't changed since like 2006 and for domestic violence supports, and that's like the #1 reason women and kids end up in shelters. And so there was a question or advocacy around that that might have come from the one organization. I don't remember I don't know if I know yet what their 3 or 4 questions were specifically. It was more the like, we were heard coming down the hall. So
great.
Yeah. And then let's see. Ruby Bridges walk to school was on Tuesday morning. And I think I had, I didn't pull the other picture, but I think 32 kids walked. And then a number of community members, both local and from the Florence area, came. I had a picture that looked like this, but it looked like almost the same, so I didn't want to do 2 big group pictures, but I have a picture of everybody who walked that I can share. And then this is Gear Up. Oh, come on, Sue. There were application week. So all week this was last week, events during Success, and then this is the college, college going t-shirt day, so that they're all wearing the same shirt there, and then the staff have their version of that. If you look in the hallway over here, outside of Molly's room, there's a really cool There's a board that says I applied, and it's for college, like going to college, and each senior, every time they complete an application, they put a giant sticker up into where they applied. And like today I was talking to a student and saying, what are you thinking? And this is a student who was not even thinking about graduating high school last year, let alone going to college. And they were like, you know what, I think 2 of us are looking at going to Western Oregon University and continuing there. It was really cool just to see that kind of planning towards and not scared about the future. The student, every time I've had those conversations, it's like, that's scary, and today felt grounded, and it was like, cool. So,
Wow.
And then and then there's also another board that's just going up with financial aid. So I applied in financial aid, and we're going to keep extending those to be like our younger kids, things they apply to go be part of in the community or different opportunities, especially as we move into summer. So we'll keep celebrating kids who are going
Is that
places.
through Miles? Is Miles the one who's
No, Kay for Garrett.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, right, Garrett.
Kay, Molly, and Garrett went to the Gear Up regional conference, some conference. It was in Spokane a couple weeks ago, and so like keep bringing back ideas for post-secondary planning and support. So good things going. That must be the last picture I'm sharing today. Let's see. At elementary literacy, I'm excited and want to celebrate our teachers. Implementing a new literacy curriculum is never easy, and there's just cool synergy happening. This morning we had a kind of PLC with all the elementary teachers, sharing out about the literacy adoption and implementation, and there's a spelling book that Janet Jackson uses that she shared. She's like, I feel like the holdup for a lot of our kids to write right now is like, how do you spell this? How do you spell that? How do you spell this? And not willing to spell things wrong. And so she implemented a kind of speller's dictionary that as we went around the table, by the end of that time, they're going to use the same one across 3-6 and then start one in kindergarten that they add their sight words to and carry it through K1-2. And it was just a cool synergy of like, we're all speaking the same language and doing some of the same things, and here's this thing that's kind of working for me right now. Let's figure out how it implements. So,
is that a quantum leap from where we were last year, in your opinion?
In terms of the literacy curriculum, define quantum leap. What I will say is, last year there was an attempt it was Savis, and it was those basal readers, and kids, I think it was the 5th and 6th grade class, maybe younger, I don't think they were joking, but they all said all the time they wanted to burn down the Savis publishing place, and it was the kids saying, which I thought I was like, maybe not, but they weren't real books. When you buy those basal texts, right, it's a textbook, and it feels big and clunky and only about learning to read at school, and this curriculum is about real books, and they're writing a ton. It's not easy, but even for a lot of them, I think Sarah shared this morning that she's like, I have this group, and they're like, this is so hard, we can't, and they're doing research and like pulling from multiple texts and writing a essay that has to make back up your claims with evidence found in books, and they can't find enough evidence right now, and they're like challenged, and then they're like, but it's fun. And so they're engaged, and the feedback has been positive that they're enjoying connecting to real books.
And so they're
across the board.
They're real published books that they're based on. Because I know before, like when I was here, and I didn't think it was horrible, and I don't remember what series that one was, but it included a lot of like social studies, science, and everything in the literature they were reading,
Yeah.
which I thought was super cool. Like they learned some really good stuff, like who invented the wiper blades, and like it was just different things they were learning as they were reading their
This
language arts
is
stuff. And so that's cool that they're basing on that.
especially the first module, especially for, I would say, K1 is, theirs was on like toys and tools and creating. In first grade, they just made their own magnificent thing, and they ended up making personalized notebooks for everybody in the class, and then a personalized notebook holder that has like where you put your pencils and stuff, and they iterated that. There was a checklist to kind of say, does it do these things? And that group came back and said no, and they went back and redid it and persevered through, and iterated, and then, but 2nd through 6th is heavy social studies, or actually we're doing that 7th and 8th also. So heavy social studies in module 1. Module 2 shifts to science focus all across, and like first is doing something about stars, moon, and whatever else would be up there. Stars, sun, and moon, something like that. And then somebody does frogs. Yeah, frogs really deeply. Somebody else, I forget which grade level is which, but adaptations. So it's a lot of like life science at the older grades there. So I'm excited to see where it goes.
Literacy is it's cross curriculum.
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, like that just seems like how
it seems
we live.
easy. Then you can make projects out of that and involve more science or something.
Yeah.
That's exactly where we're at. So it's fun. I think there's an energy. It's not easy, but there's an energy of like, we got, we're doing this, we got this. So
okay.
Trying to think. I know some of these things are in works, but this morning in that same conversation, we got to Rolling Readers idea, and I have a call in to Beth waiting to hear back, but we have a proposal and somebody who's going to take the lead on that with a background in community reading. So we're excited. Our guess is that'll get up and go. Just with the holidays coming, that'll start in January, but we're ready to get it. And just so you know, we're aiming for Thursdays instead of Wednesdays. One of the big feedback was with the late start on Wednesdays. Wednesdays is really hard.
Yeah,
so we talked through, and I think Thursdays is going to work back best for both the timing and the staff member who can support it. So
would that mean next year it would start in October?
Absolutely. I think even beginning of year.
Oh,
I mean, once we're looking at it's a slight redesign, pretty similar, but redesign, and then once it's in place, we'll just
because
be
it's
able to
hard
go.
when it's like we're this far in and it's still not happening.
Yeah.
So I like that for you, Michelle. That's
No,
good.
Yeah.
I made it for all these volunteers who are like, hey, when's
Yeah,
it
do
happening?
we
It's
get
been months. Am I not doing this anymore?
Yeah.
And then it's over in May.
Well,
so
and then
it's
they
like,
start to
Yeah,
like
just-
find other things that might accidentally occupy their time.
True enough.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're there finally. I think
Cool.
we needed some systems where there's still some things we're putting in place, but today we finally were like, okay, what can and should that look like to maximize
Excellent.
input?
All
So, the moss was treated this week, so it should start dying off, and he's going to do a second treatment in the spring.
Okay.
I was following up on some stuff.
Do you know what they use? Is it copper?
No.
It's what?
I was on the phone.
Lime?
What did he
It
say?
smelled like laundry soap.
It's
Unless it was laundry running when I was
through there.
coming down.
I'll text Randy and ask. He told me on the phone, but I was like not committing that to memory. I was just like, are we doing it? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think it's just bleach, but I don't know what he was up there, because it was powder that he was sprinkling
It could have been.
along the
Typically
top.
lime, yeah.
Mhm. I don't know. What do I know? Yeah, let us know.
Okay. And then do it at facilities. We'll move I'll wait on the surplus idea. Kurt Wilson is ready to meet next. That didn't fit in this last week timeframe because I was out of town, so I'll update as soon as I meet with him. And I think those are all my things. And then we have the SIA annual report on here, and I just want to go through this pretty quick. This is a required presentation that we have to do each year. Sorry, one of these buttons works. I just took last year's presentation and changed it to 22-23 and updated a couple slides in here, so there's nothing fancy, just so you know. So I'm not going to give all the review of this funding because we've done that a lot. If anybody has questions, I'm happy to answer, but just for this report, situating it a lot, like we've talked about the plan for moving forward. This is the annual report about just the student investment account, Student Success Act money from last year's implementation. So we're looking backwards right now instead of forwards. And then our part of this money for just last year was flip my page. Well, it was like 192,000, right in that range. 192, 916, 936, something close to that. This is the overreaching goals of the student investment account, meeting students' mental and behavioral health needs, and increase in academic achievement, including reducing academic disparities for focal group populations, students of color, students with disabilities, students navigating poverty, foster care, homelessness, and students who are emerging bilinguals. Just a reminder, that list has since expanded for the integrated plan work, but this is the list from last year. Our outcomes are really similar to this moving forward as well, but last year, just the 5 outcomes aligned district curriculum, developing a graduate profile, and multiple enrichment and intervention opportunities to reach each student's goals. All staff implement school-wide and classroom age-appropriate. Hey, board meeting.
I'm sorry, I'm just looking for Lou.
For Lou.
He's over the hill at practice.
Yeah. School-wide and classroom age-appropriate trauma-informed restorative practices, including connecting to basic needs, enrichment programming linked with positive changes in academic success, social emotional well-being, community engagement, and overall school and community climate, and then career-connected learning opportunities. So we're aiming for all of those outcomes with all of our funding, but specific with this funding, providing the Friday school programming, which we continue to grow, creating a safe, respectful, and restorative culture for all students that supports the social emotional well-being of students and adults, critical for academic and professional success, investing in facility upgrades for safe space for CTE program expansion, and some of that was done in the first year of this funding. And then increasing capacity to provide curriculum embedded intervention and enrichment opportunities. And so lots of the funding goes to Friday school programming. Some of it goes to providing staff for increased academic and behavioral interventions at both campuses. And let's see, our social emotional learning teacher, and I think that's actually it for this school year. I might remember one thing when I'm reading this. There's 4 questions we have to answer in the annual report portion, and these are the responses, so I'm just going to read them out loud. Our students continue to utilize Friday school to access increased academic support, plus social connection, recreation time, and wraparound supports. Transportation and food allow us to encourage higher attendance. This year we added clubs into our weekly school day schedule. And for example, Dungeons and Dragons Club regularly meets on Fridays, which encourages increased connection and academic success. So we're seeing the clubs kind of pull more academic connections through Friday. We were able to provide a full rotation of specials, including art, social emotional learning, and library for all K-6 students. funding continues to provide increased capacity for supporting students with disabilities and those with increased behavioral and social needs. This promotes safety within an inclusive model and provides another adult in many classroom spaces to support all students with their learning throughout the day. Professional learning was provided in partnership with Lane ESD throughout the year, including full PD days with the secondary students alongside staff, learning about brain science, interoception, and coping strategies while building healthy connections between each other and with staff.
Did that paragraph answer all 4 questions?
Nope, that's question 1. So this one's
what was
on.
the question?
Yeah, sorry, I should have said that at the top. SIA implementation efforts during the 22-23 school year, the positive impacts and progress.
That's the question?
Yeah, there's multiple questions in that question, and
gotcha.
Instead of writing them all, I kind of
What is
wrote in that
interoception?
head. Interoception is how you feel. So if I'm mad, for me, I feel it right here, I get hot. So interoception is the way that the brain connects with the body in experiencing those emotions. And for a lot of our kids who have anger or anxiety, those types of things, recognizing that connection to body actually helps with then knowing how to use various coping strategies. So sometimes replacement behaviors and sometimes just a coping strategy to move through. So this one is about barriers, impediments, or challenges faced. Especially early on, attendance was our biggest barrier. And we put a lot of work to communicate that every day matters. Bouts of weather, water issues, and illness impacted our efforts, but our staff and students persevered even when they had to go to the bathroom and porta potties. Mental health resources continue to be very limited. However, we have built our partnership with Mobile Crisis Response, which I'll add in here, I accidentally left out Western Lane Art Counselors, which has proved invaluable. While we work to build partnerships and opportunities on our own campus, capital funding to renovate the spaces not completed during the bond are a barrier to expanding services.
Oh, you're talking about the middle school?
Middle school, industrial arts, and then the pool overall. So this paragraph gets kind of thrown into trends across the state, and the more we can advocate for capital funding, we all need capital funding. So I want to make sure
and all
that's
schools are experiencing that mental health resources.
Absolutely. Successes and challenges in maintaining community engagement. Part of this question says consider this. There's a toolkit this comes from, but really the state is pushing schools to kind of move across the spectrum from ideally we're not ignoring anybody, but a lot of times we live at inform and then all the way over to deferring in some spaces, and that's where a group of students or a group of community members, it's take the reins and design this thing. We need that. So, and Courtney's really good at these ends, I just want to name. So I'll pause after this and make sure we formally, I realized we talked at the beginning, but I need to formally introduce you and let you go home if you want to.
Maybe not.
Wrong way. Sorry. So community engagement, success engaging our secondary students in ongoing continuous improvement conversations. That was supposed to say students and staff, sorry. This included formal partnership with 15th Night to conduct a needs assessment that has guided our actions and partnership with Lane ESD to lead professional learning with our students too, where their experiences guided changes to our schedule and school spaces. We have grown our partnerships with Sayusla Watershed Council, Sayusla Vision, and the Confederated Tribes of Kusla, Umpqua, and Sayusla Indians, and various organizations in Eugene, which has led to grants including Preschool Promise, Gear Up, United Way Community Transformation Grant, and the OHA Youth Advisory Council's grant. We have had success building relationships with many individual families, but are growing in our capacity to host engagement opportunities where families and community members authentically inform processes. Limitations include time and capacity, as well as we had weather in last winter that I think 2 different events got canceled, which made things hard and kind of smashed together. So, and then this one's about like how you prioritized efforts and lessons learned that are guiding your actions forward, your planning forward. And this year, our prioritization was on the direct needs of our students, especially those navigating poverty and homelessness. With new leadership, we were able to use the funded positions to meet the academic and behavioral needs of our students and to revise and adjust as we tried new approaches and implemented new systems. Our capacity to connect the content of our specials rotations with the content of core classes has increased. And our ability to support students with high behavioral needs within the classroom has improved, and our ability to engage students and their families during and beyond the school day all increased due to this funding. Our goals next year are focused on which is really this year, are focused on attendance, connection, and literacy through student-centered learning opportunities. There's a link here that I can share this to you, and you can look at these progress markers. They've been optional for the last biennium, but all the reporting for the integrated guidance moving forward is through these progress markers, and so you're regularly reflecting on all these places that like, hey, where are you making progress through there? And I can open those if anybody wants to see now, or just share this. So we have to open for public input, and can you just put it in the notes that we did that? Anybody in the public have any comments? Nope. Is there anybody online? And then if y'all have any questions, comments, or concerns,
I just had this question about what does it look like when you defer to the community? Like, we need help with this, let's make this happen. How do we do that? How do we open the doors to the community that way?
Yeah, I think that's probably a good opener to formally introduce Courtney Stone. But a lot of the aims for the community coordination and community connections is students leading alongside adult community members and following their lead. And so like creating, so a lot of the project-based learning, so I'll use like the idea of a community food production garden as an example. Right now we're creating the foundation that it's even a thing, and the goal is to keep connecting folks to that. And we have no clue what direction that's go, right? It's a thing, it's an idea, but it's not gonna be real. It's not anybody on this campus sitting and saying, okay, next step is to do XYZ. It's like, hey, students did some cool stuff, let's have them go present at, Rotary? Mm-hmm. And share out what they've done so far and what their ideas moving forward are, and then see what comes next. And what came next was an offer for some grants to submit to Rotary and Kiwanis, or I can't remember who all these people are, and then Courtney helps support students to do that, to apply for those grants, do more research and work, and then based on what funding we get, it's going to define the next thing. And so that deferment is like, we're putting the supports in place to help the next steps forward, but people are jumping in. Right now it's students, but the goal is that, and then these organizations are starting to call us and say, hey, you guys are doing this cool thing, do you know about this opportunity? And then it'll just start rolling at some point, and it's been okay. I mean, ultimately the full deferral means like take it and run. You have to do it within the constraints of a school, like
I'm just
the
wondering
vision
about
of
the
the
community
school
component. it's not just take it and run, the community has to be invited and encouraged to come in to take their rightful place.
Or like you don't know if it's here, if you don't know it's here.
Yeah, so
Right.
that's the next steps, and I mean, do you wanna share the,
Yeah, like
the
I know
field
the
trip?
gardening thing only because my kid's in it, but I don't know what everyone else is
Yeah, so do you wanna share the field trip part and just kind of where, like, Courtney's layering some pieces together with Tucker in all of our spaces. I will say, I'm just giving gardening as an example,
Yeah.
but do you wanna share?
Yeah, so I think one of the things, that we reckon, there are so many resources out in the community, but as far as do you consider yourself an expert enough to like offer your expertise? And I think it was, we did some brainstorming within some of the teachers of like local garden experts and who knows their business around, and asked if they would be interested in having some of the students come out and visit. And they were initially hesitant because it was the end of the season and they were like, my garden's not beautiful enough, I can't have people out right now. But seeing how engaged the kids were with developing their own questions, and then having those gardeners be so excited to see the kids engaged, so that they're asking about what the kids are doing and how they can support. So I think it's kind of that back and forth of the students starting some of the conversations and then the community responding to that energy. And then the students feeling so good, feeling that response and knowing that they have support moving forward. So I think more of those relationships that get built, and the more that there's, I think it's just a process of like collectively figuring out a general vision and then just seeing sort of what things fall in line with that. But it's kind of it's a beautiful and slightly chaotic process, but it's always more effective to do it that way than for us to sit and say that we have the right path to something, because I don't. I get on that
For sure,
pretty well,
there just has to be a pipeline,
Yeah.
because I know about experts all over this community. I've lived here a long time,
Mhm.
and there are some very talented people.
Yeah.
And they should damn well get their butts into this school and share what they know. A lot of people are retired and still have great skills, so it's that
Or
pipeline.
that have
Just
moved
wondering, how
into
do
this
they know?
community with those skills
Yeah.
that even weren't here forever,
Right.
They moved in here.
True enough.
Retirees.
True enough.
The cool thing is, like, I've got 3 calls in the last, I'd say month actually, that are like people calling with an idea and like, hey,
What do you think?
there's this skill, and I've always thought it'd be cool if kids learn this skill. And I was like, hey, turns out we're working on opportunities for this. I will call you back. Like, I can't say, yeah, come on Friday next week, yet, but we're getting closer to be able to say, yep, plug in right here. And I think there's some stirring happening, like, early on. It's energy, right? Like like these little like these kids going to this legislative thing are going to lead to somebody else calling and saying, hey, what about this? And then it just like, I always think of things as a snowball. Sometimes snowballs are bad, but I like all the good ones that like it's starting to roll. And then somebody gets an idea and they're like, well, what if we taught such and such opportunity? Or did you know this thing exists over here? And right now we're kind of collecting those and starting to organize both in the after school and Friday school realm. I didn't share on this, but by January 15th, we should have an elementary after school and Friday school program in place. And are doing, hiring should start this week. The hiring will be through Boys and Girls Club. And those should, I'll say within 2 weeks it should be, oh my gosh. But we'll get that hired, and just like these things are almost ready to start moving. And then as those opportunities are in place, there's more connections and more opportunities for that deferment to attach to something. So.
And, we don't want to be inundated with too many people coming here. We don't have the capacity to deal with them.
Yeah.
But like we have social media, we don't have the newsletter that they used to go to every patron in the district, which was our pipeline for requests and giving people information. But I'm going to be patient, but I'm just excited because I love the idea that we would integrate this notion of a community school would be a real thing. And without people who don't have kids in school necessarily, but are in our district and they're supportive and they, the more they're involved, the more highly they're gonna speak about this school.
Yeah.
And, just good PR.
Yeah, there was a moment, yeah, like Ruby Bridges, there were some folks who showed up to volunteer for that I hadn't seen in a while, and it was like, oh, cool, like, they're still connected.
Yeah.
And so, like, and that's, like, through different, like, lots of people are leading something, and we know they're in our network now, so it's kind of cool to see, like, oh, yeah, I had no clue they were coming. I actually haven't even communicated with that person in 6 months, but they're at this event, which is cool. So
one of my neighbors just called me and said, hey, I helped the kids bake sourdough crackers the other day in the culinary department. I was like, whoa, that's awesome.
yeah, cool. Were you part of that, or?
I was not part of that one, no. I mean,
Cool. So
but
that's
kind of the beautiful thing is like, as the students are getting excited about their own passion project, they are
They're
specifically
finding people.
reaching out to other people. I mean, I think the recycling class this week kind of had a few days of just kind of, they're focusing on their individual goals, but they're doing really deep work with like who they should reach out to and who they can ask questions to, and because they're motivated by this thing that they got to choose of like,
Cool.
I really want, in the realm of recycling, I care about, their collective class intention is to teach the littles more about recycling, but they each have their own little things within that they're working in that are all community based, and it's fun to see them follow the own trail of their interest.
Excellent.
Dude, the grow, I just, it's tangible. So like, I always like really like tangible things early on, because it starts, I don't know if you notice when you walk in, but there's a big, it's not lit yet, but they'll probably right after break, they'll get that one all planted and be growing right down here. And this has like, I don't know, lettuce and
this
dill
one.
or something. Yeah, you can tell me what those say on them. There's one in my office when I got back from my
Parsley,
trip.
cilantro, and lettuce.
Yeah, so, and today they came and asked me, can we meet with the elementary teachers to see if we can find time to come teach each elementary class how these work, and then pop in once a week to do a check, a maintenance check on it and those kind of things. So like, but kids are leading that. They're excited about some tangible progress right now, so.
Cool.
I think it's a good opportunity to get some like male role models in too, because I don't think that boys especially have enough of that, especially these days. So I think that it's a good
Yeah,
thing for that, because
Absolutely.
we've
and I've
got
noticed Dom and Tristan's
Grandpa, yeah, I was just gonna say, he's daily helping with construction. He's got a, like, we're using that OHA funding to support him coming and being alongside in that build project. We needed another adult in that space to make it work, and he's got both construction experience and recreation. Like, he's developed a recreation program, so the more I keep him around, the more he might be leading that. So, but yeah, there's research. There's a ton of research out there on intergenerational learning spaces, and that's a lot. Like, a side goal of mine in all this is that, like, it both. I mean, speaking to the impact of rolling readers and other similar programs, and then that second half of the day. Half the time, I don't have a clue what's happening, but all of a sudden there'll be somebody working with them, like, who's that person? Like, oh, they're a specialist in such and such. Cool. But just getting more and more folks connected here, and I agree, yeah.
For sure.
They're looking for connection. Our kids are looking for connection and mentors in all forms, and so the more folks here, the better.
Yay.
So,
Thanks.
yeah. Any other questions or anything on this one? Cool. All right, I'm gonna close this down.
Is that all of number 4? 4, 1, 2, and 3? Did you give us an elementary report as well?
I threw some elementary stuff in there. We'll
Okay.
call it good. Yeah.
Finance tech maintenance report, documentation. What do you have for us that we need to know about, Jaron?
The 21-22 audit was finalized. I sent out the letter to the board from them. No issues with it, and working on the 22-23 audit this past couple of weeks. Been taking care of that. Nothing big on the check register. A update, if you didn't see, I emailed out about the Mapleton shop.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Are you on
yeah,
Mapleton shop.
there? You're gonna be so excited.
Okay.
What-
yes,
look what
Michelle,
Jared
I'll
did.
be excited.
Yes.
When did that one come?
Just
Yesterday.
oh, I
Last night. So, I signed up with Square.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
So, there it is. It's
It's,
like, I promise. You didn't believe me. You thought it was gonna be bad.
I know, I wasn't sure which of my requests was being granted.
Yes, look.
There's
Check
now
this
a
out. It's like
donations
twice as good.
Oh,
tab,
oh,
and
excellent.
so
Oh, God,
people
that's excellent.
donate with credit card.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then there is, we used to have the Mapleton gear one, that's third party thing, you know, you can order stuff, but we have a bunch of jerseys, old jerseys that we're getting rid of,
I
and
saw
so
those.
we've taken pictures and so people can purchase that
So
stuff.
if I get one of those alerts that someone needs a gas card, can I just go to that and that's where I can put money on a gas card? Because that's kind of the stuff that can be it can instantly be remedied. That's what I was hoping it would be used for.
In the donation, can they say
Yeah,
what it
there's,
goes to?
I mean, if I bring up the
Is that just
so
adding to
donation,
your
shop.
thing?
there's.
I went
Oh, there. No, but this one, yeah.
There's a drop down for elementary school or high school efforts or district efforts and additional information to say and a disclaimer that, you know, every effort will be made to use it for that purpose, but it's not guaranteed. It'll be
Okay.
used for the designated school and stuff, but yeah. so-
Jared, I wonder if in that drop down we can put rapid access network requests
Right.
and then
What are you
put
guys
that-
talking about?
So there's a community responder.
Oh, hi, Annie.
network.
Sorry.
So like alerts go out to the community to say, hey, there's a kid, this week there was a kid in need of sheets. I don't
Where
even
did
think
those
it's
alerts
listed.
go? What are those?
They are called the Rapid Access Network. There's been.
So it's something you have to.
You have to sign up.
Sign up
Sign
for
up
it,
for it?
yeah. We've sent those out a few times. I don't know the last time we sent one out. That's probably on the list of things we need to do. Terry Johnson oversees that. So we'll get I think we can put one out on Parent Square and all the realms at the same time to say, hey, looking for responders who do this. And then I don't exactly know how you sign up, but you sign up and then when there's a need at the school, so it provides an anonymous way for us to send out, I don't even know if it says student, I think it probably says student
Well, it
in
does
need
say
of
student.
sheets. Yeah, but nothing about the student, it's just
Nothing.
student in need of sheets for a bed, and then maybe the size of sheets. And then we had somebody call Terry on this particular one and say, do they like pastel or bold? And like, oh, but figured that out, and then a set of sheets get dropped off here, and it's both anonymous donation and anonymous need, and those things get matched. The cool thing is, so it's our community responding to our kids, but that we call it the RAN, Rapid Access Network. It lives inside a larger RAN that 15th Night oversees. So if a request goes out and doesn't get responded to
It
locally,
can go broader.
then
Yeah.
they shoot it out to the Eugene community where there's more people to respond, and then almost always the responses get filled. There's sometimes something that nobody has that resource and we're waiting, but I do think it's a good idea in that drop down if we put like Rapid Access Network requests or donations or something like that and do it through financial. I think that can work. Is there
This
a way
is
to
great.
alert
It just
Terry or?
depends on because these are donations to district tax deductible then, and so I don't know if the RAND ones would be similar option and stuff.
I mean, it
So
may
how
be, so you may have a good point. It might have to, that might have to be a separate something, and maybe it doesn't get to be run through this, but this, like, if you want to donate to the Booster Club, or, you know, and somebody wants their name on the bulletin board, or the, whatever, the big board in the gym, a sponsorship, it can run through this, correct? This is great. Thank you. This is going to be more helpful. I think maybe the RAND is something different, and I don't know.
And I can talk to 15th Night and say, have you all looked at and it might already exist, it might be on 15th Night's website and it's there. So I'll reach out to Melissa and ask her on that part.
All right.
And see if there's any reason for us not to put it here. And then Booster, you guys have fundraising mechanisms.
Yeah, you guys can here. I'm thinking
we might be able to link it on here and say, here's the link to the Booster as well in that drop down. So yeah.
Well, I know you can buy things with your credit card, because I was at, when we had the public gathering here and everybody was out in the courtyard around the elementary school. You could buy blankets and you could use a credit card. You could buy, they already are set up that way.
Yep.
But I'm more thinking like when you're at home and you don't have your credit card and you just go on your phone or your computer and
Cool.
And so something else to think about selling is, do you want to talk about the surplus?
Sure, that was a nice
Where
lead.
we want to get rid of
We want to get rid of a lot of stuff.
in the district.
Yeah, so
Stuff over at the pool and stuff in the middle school. So we'll shoot for putting together a little bit of a list next month to officially surplus it. But then we're talking about maybe figuring out what we would classify more as junk. And putting it out and just saying, telling the community, you can come and see if you want any of this junk.
Yeah.
And then throwing it away if no one takes it. And then that'll clear out some space, so some of the slightly better stuff that we still want to get rid of, we could put in some of the rooms in the middle school or something. Yeah, display them better and have, a weekend sell, where people can come in and buy stuff. Anything left we could throw up on public surplus to get a larger possible market and stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, we have accumulated a lot of stuff we don't use.
And some stuff is worthy of
somebody
else using it and or buying it, that kind of thing, and some stuff is just ready to trash. But our goal is to do kind of those 2 rounds in January, so that some of the cool thing, really the impetus for doing it now is like all these projects are taking off and they're begging for space. And then as we'll get the numbers to do the asbestos abatement over there, but we can't do asbestos abatement with a bunch of stuff in there. So for January, stay tuned. Community sales / just take it.
That's what I do.
Can I jump back real quick? One thing we didn't talk about with Courtney is leading our student government efforts right now and doing some awesome stuff with our kiddos, and I just want to acknowledge that she's doing a lot more than the community coordination stuff with the project-based learning, but really engaging the students in decision making and leadership on the visioning for the school. So
thank you. That's a really important job, and we know that you were needed.
It's a fun place to be, honestly. It's pretty incredible to see their brains, just kind of come to fruition together.
Yeah.
But I'm acknowledging in my own brain, I have these check boxes I want to do, but building relationships is a process. So just trying to slow myself down, trust building time, But it's been really great so far. They're an amazing group of kids. Like they're so well behaved. I mean, yeah, there's some difficult ones, and they're also just wonderful. Yeah.
Human.
Yeah, exactly. They're
Cool.
We're gonna get to action items pretty quick and do some policy updates. You are welcome to stay as long as you would like tonight, but don't feel like you have to sit there all night.
And as far as tech and finance, tech and maintenance, I know some more work's been going on the well. We're getting closer.
Oh my, the well is not a done deal.
No.
There was a part we were waiting for
Yeah.
for a
Oh,
long
is that part
time.
of
That
like
was
the COVID
Things that don't get made anymore.
Yeah, I
Supply
know.
chain.
supply chain?
Maybe there's not employees to make some parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had to be specially designed for some fit, something or other.
Oh.
I don't know. These are things I don't retain very well, but it's way closer to
Yeah.
there.
And a couple, added on a few more security cameras and swapping some out and stuff. Some concerns in a couple places, so put a camera up to watch.
Right.
And
What's open up resources?
that is the curriculum.
So ELA curriculum, and then middle school math, we're using illustrative mathematics. It's all open source, but then you can buy the printed material through open up resources, and so that's what that is.
And this 38, almost $39,000 gets us how many years of service?
Is that the ELA books, do you think?
Yeah.
All of it, so lots.
All of it, yeah.
So those are all real books that are, well, not all. So there are some consumable books in there. I got them for every grade level, every student this year. And I told all teachers, figure out if you're gonna use them every year, write in them, do all the things, and then we'll anticipate that cost for each year following. And if sometimes you get those things, like for the curriculum last year, they're like, it's this big, and we filled out like not 6 pages, but like probably 20% of it, and it feels like we could have just run those copies for cheaper kind of thing. And so that was we'll have that conversation as we go through. I will say in most grade levels for ELA, they're writing up a storm in them. So my guess is we'll continue on the consumables. So,
Okay.
but they bought a ton of books for every classroom. We got the required and the recommended reading books, and they use the recommended are aligned to the topic to do research, aligned to the topic that they're bringing in. So,
And the consumables are like a 10% charge every year? Or?
I'd have to, I can pull those numbers. I knew that in August, but I don't remember now, but they're not terrible. And we, for ELA, they're the same or cheaper than the consumables for the curriculum last year. So it's not an added expense from what they were gonna do with the SOVIS on there.
All right. Just a big price tag that jumped out.
Yeah, that's for the whole thing, so
Yeah, yeah.
the numbers won't be anywhere near that high.
Cool. Okay.
Why did I write? Sorry, I wrote a note to myself and didn't finish it. Terry Random.
Oh, yeah. And like fifth night or how they
Yeah.
get their donations or
Thanks.
for 15th night.
And are all our buses operational?
Yeah, I was wondering that too.
They
No.
are.
No.
Oh, but no, where are we at?
We don't have the white one back yet. They're gonna do something with it. Our minibus that has been there since May or sometime, they've decided they're just gonna have to replace the engine on it.
No.
And, so I think those are the only two outfits that
Are
are.
we renting a minibus right now?
We are using Lowell's,
Okay, because I met one
a
today.
bus
so I
from
thought-
there. Yeah. Bye, Courtney. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Yeah, Lowell's been great and donated theirs, and we're just paying that cost for that, so.
Yeah, and we had I don't think that last board, I think I mentioned it last board when we were gonna test the fuels.
Yeah, you were
Fuels
talking
are.
about that.
They came back out, right, Randy pumped the bottom of the diesel tank a little bit to get the water out that was in there and some rust. And we got a order of fuel, so got some fresh fuel in there for both of them and stuff, so.
All the regular leaded cars are running smoothly. That week was hard. But we have not had issues with that since, so kudos to Jaren for researching and learning and doing how to fix gas overnight. Come in and do that. It was pretty cool, so.
Did you go to YouTube University?
That's what I have.
I looked
all I
at a couple, I looked at a couple of YouTube things, and they didn't fill me with hope, but then I just looked at some other
That's
things
what he
and
told me
decided,
to take.
and it made me think, this one guy that did this comparison of these things, and like, I think how he did it,
I could do better.
well, yeah, it's like, what he needs to do, because, it was looking at water
He
and
should say
fuel.
his own.
Jared needs a podcast.
Right.
Like, totally needs a podcast.
Because he was looking at water and fuel and stuff and how these additives affect it. But he needed to, and then you look at this other person and this one guy, had used quite a bit of water in the fuel and this other guy, just a little bit, and big difference. And I'm like, so what you need to do is have a degree of levels of water so that you can determine, okay, at what point, how much water in the
Is it
fuel
negative?
is
Yeah.
going to tip it into problems where this guy was seeing instead. Because, his determination was that they were all crap. But then, if you don't have this much, if you don't have this much water and just this much, and that much fuel, if you're a third water in your tank, chances are you're gonna have issues.
You might have.
So, yeah.
Well, thanks.
Can I celebrate something real quick I forgot to share earlier? And we'll just say it's because I waited for Mizu to be here. Numbers for basketball
And she said it was
are
huge, that's why she wasn't here.
incredible. So how many middle school girls?
We have 22.
Two. I wrote down 21.
22, which is, I don't know what percentage of the available population, but it's almost everybody. It's like almost all of them.
For 5th through 8th grade, it's
yeah.
I'll run that. I'll give you that percentage.
Yeah,
I haven't. I gotta pull the
It's
attendance
awesome.
up, but
I will say that's why I'm late because it's insane. It's also insane, but it's really great. It's a really fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm always so jealous when other schools come and they have a bench. We never have a bench.
so we have
We
2 teams with a bench for middle school girls, which is awesome.
Yes.
And then middle school boys, I believe, is at 13.
It's a huge increase.
From we were
Right.
barely pushing 6, 7
Right.
recently, so they're out, they're excited. And then high school girls is 12, I believe.
Also a giant increase.
Yep. And
Yeah.
high school boys, I think are we 9 or 10?
Seemed like that, I see
I
them
was
all in the
at
hall,
practice.
so, yeah.
I know. I want to say 9 or 10. And there's one kid we're not sure yet. So
Yeah.
but our numbers for basketball are like it's like they're all here till 7 o'clock at night now, and so like that energy, we saw huge positive impacts for kids last year, and there are kids out this year who we were like, man, if only they were involved in a sport, and they're joining. There's managers for teams on top of those numbers, like.
So
I
does
think
that mean that the boys next year, the high school boys are next year, will have more than 9 or 10? Will there be some that come over from middle school?
It depends how many are leaving. How many
Yeah.
There's 6, 8. I think there's 6 8th graders in that group right now. So they'll
Okay.
And there's only 2 leaving, right? No, 3 leaving.
maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah. Yep. So
This is awesome.
it is.
Good
It's
news.
really, really cool. Yeah.
Really good
Yep.
news.
And I think I think they're excited about it too, like they actually wanted to be there in the first place, but I think they're having a good time.
Yay, good for morale.
And
Yeah.
thinking about basketball made me think of concessions, and so I have to share Jaren's good deal of the month.
That should be on our agenda somewhere.
Should be able to, oh, speaking of which, I forgot.
I was wandering through Freddy's and heading up to the checkout, and I was like, what? And they had candy bars for 50 cents.
Oh yeah, because of Halloween. I saw that.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, they're normally $1.49, and they're on sale for $1, and then it had another 50 cents off.
Next month,
if
there's
you-
$37,000 of candy.
Don't ask.
But it is $320 worth of candy bars.
$320.
Because, I mean, we were,
Oh, that's so smart.
yeah, we were getting them through Cisco, and through Cisco, I think is 85, 90 cents at least or so each.
Yeah.
Carrie bought a few boxes at Costco because they were on sale, but even they were, I want to say 70 something cents, and so I was like, crap, 50 cents each, so I bought enough to get us through the season.
Nice.
That's
That's
More
awesome.
check.
We sleeping like.
One at a time, Exactly, 640 candy bars.
I didn't go to self-checkout because, yeah, they can.
You didn't want to do it. No.
Well, I mean, they can plug in
They're
numbers.
gonna take.
Actually, in computer science this afternoon, I don't know what time of day that is, but I was in there and a kid had a clicker hooked up to a program that he had written, and he's tapping, and it was at 600 something when I walked by, and then it was at 700 something when I walked by again, and I said, "Are you aiming for a certain number?" He's like, 1,000. I was like, "You go." I walked off, but there was a program written. That's what I heard about it.
That's
So.
great.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we're well supplied.
Yeah, thanks, Jaren. Thanks for being a smart shopper. Awesome. Okay, where are we? We're at the audit report. You already told us about the audit report. Now we're at the consent agenda, which is our payroll check register, accounts payable check register, and the prior month's minutes. And if you are ready, I entertain a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Moved and
I'll second.
seconded. All those in favor? All right, unanimous. Thank you very
Every
much.
time for voting.
I know.
Yeah, and now we're gonna move to personnel hiring basketball coaches, middle school head Zach Burt, assistant Caleb Lewis, middle school head Lou Burris, assistant Kirsten Kelly, high school head Vanessa Clemens, assistant Tucker Ford, high school boys Eric Waldman, and assistant Jake Matthews.
Yeah, it's like really urgent.
And that's an action item, so I will take a motion.
I move to approve the personnel hirings of the basketball season.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor? Unanimous, thanks very much.
And
And now we're
take
gonna
a
go into
timeout for policies.
we're not doing the integrated grant, we're gonna move.
Are you good?
into Policy.
Well,
And
we need
you're
to
gonna
do
take us
something
through the
else.
policies here.
I'm gonna be distracted for a minute, but
Oh.
let me-
Well, you were gonna take us to the policies, so we can actually move to something else.
Yeah, is there something?
Good. Oh, how about the OSBA resolutions?
Okay, and
Yes.
did everyone see them? Oh, okay, are you gonna show them up there?
I'm trying to think where,
I think they're.
oh, wait, they're in
They
the
were.
they're in the packet, aren't they?
No.
No, they're not in the
Oh.
packet, they were in our email.
Yeah, we got them in the email.
Oh,
I was
okay.
just looking to see if they were in.
They are, well, I know that there's, one thing that I know that happened, because I was at the OSBA convention, is that they're trying to create a rural, school caucus. They have
Cool.
a caucus of color that represents, folks of color, and then there's another one that's just for people like us in rural districts that really do get kind of ignored, and they're a rowdy bunch. It was kind of cool to see them advocating. One of the things they want to advocate for is a pot of money that cuts the cost of going to the OSBA convention. Because, it's a lot of money, and if you've got a big district like Springfield or Eugene, $600 isn't everything out of your budget, but out of our budget. And actually, all of 4J was there, all their board members, all of Springfield's board members were there. I'm not gonna say that I think it's the best use of your time. It's not my favorite thing to do, but I did go, and there are certain things that happen there that are great. Interestingly, Emily Centrella, you remember Emily Centrella?
Sure.
She's been the executive director's right-hand person, and he just retired, and guess who is the executive director of OSBA?
No way, that's funny, I saw the headline that had happened, a change had happened, but I didn't click on it to see who it was.
Yeah, it's
Yay,
her.
Emily,
And
so
I got
Emily's
to
a Mapleton grad.
Yeah, she was she's a little younger than Shoshana.
Yep, like maybe 2 years younger or
Yeah.
something.
And I saw her there, and she's a cool lady. I think OSBA will be, they
Awesome.
need her, is what I would say.
That's so cool.
So did you find our,
So there should be some good rural,
no kidding, and
Yeah.
that's one thing that when I talked to the ED before he was handing it off to her, he mentioned that, she comes into the
Rural
institution
perspective, yeah.
with that, yes. Yeah, she's awesome.
that's so cool, I had no idea.
So another thing that's gonna happen, when I do believe the rural caucus will get voted in, but somebody from this board would be really great to have on that caucus. It would be nice, and they're going to have a board that oversees, they actually already do have a board that oversees the rural caucus. So I would love for you to think about it. Somebody from here, because we really do need, there's strength in numbers and
I would be interested in it.
an excellent Mizu there. I'm actually going to nominate her. She's gonna get it. Good. Cool. So you guys still haven't found them, Jared?
Should be getting close.
Okay, well, we're trying to
I don't
find
know what.
something to do
Well, you
while,
only get probably 1 million emails, so.
right,
There we go.
Oh, cool.
Good question. We
Or
can find that out really fast. Since
I'm
we're
gonna
in a roll
nominate
right
you.
now.
Okay,
That's what's gonna happen, so.
yeah, I
cool.
guess I should have asked what,
Yeah.
how many,
I don't think
how many
it's,
meetings it is.
Like you dedicate your life.
Word's not at
right,
home.
you're gonna have to move to,
Right.
enterprise.
Yeah, I'm in.
22 extra.
Right.
Yes, that's right. I'm running from them.
You can run,
No,
but
it's
you
good.
can't run.
Yeah, so cute.
You guys leave tomorrow. At one point, Helen Avery, about an hour ago, I swear it was Lucy, walked this way, so but then not stay for the meeting.
Oh, maybe Lucy went home with Helen.
She might have.
Yeah.
I'm trying Lucy's phone because Morgan's is dead or dying.
Hey, she might have gone home with Helen.
I'm calling over.
Yeah.
I got your why.
That thing,
Jesus.
it's like a thick little one.
It's
It's like it can barely fly.
Slow, so.
I've been in here for weeks.
This is just. Well, all of
I know, I
these,
feel like nothing else.
everything else on here, we need Sue to
Right.
weigh in on and help us with.
Well,
What do you call a smug criminal going down the stairs? A condescending.
Oh, wow. All right, I have to write that one down. That's,
Isaiah will like-
yeah, I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
Isaiah will love that.
Yeah.
I'm going,
Did you find Lucy?
she's home.
Okay, great.
Oh, they're home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know where my kid is. Good thing your kids are home.
Okay. Sounds good. You've got
So I have
Kaylee.
Kaylee, Kylie,
Right.
yeah.
Oh, it's right here.
Hey Lou, I have some more kombucha for you. I just made a killer batch, like it's my fave.
It's so good. I just killed the other one that you made. Just killed it.
And I would love to get more of the apple brandy.
Yeah.
Damn. Some nice stuff.
We're
That,
still in,
It's like-
Process.
session. Don't.
oh, apple Juice.
Yes.
That's juice tonight.
Good work,
Oh,
okay.
there she is right now, okay. Morgan's home, so that's good.
We're so laid back in Mapleton.
Hey, Helen?
Interviewing for that
I
role.
was just wondering what
Okay, I'll send you out.
They do my sticks.
Okay, all right. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Okay, here's the resolutions.
Okay, there we go.
Resolution 1. So,
To amend the Oregon School Board is relating to the composition of the Board of Directors. Okay, that's one
Where's
resolution.
your Oregon Rural School Board Advisory Committee?
yeah, we're
Yes. And the advisory is ready to elect to the Rural Leadership Assembly, and the advisory committee has articulated its mission as follows: to build collaborative relationships and promote quality education for all students, and emphasis on the unique needs of school boards and students in rural. So this whole thing is about rural.
Yes,
Okay, no one.
so yes.
Hey, that's
alright, so creating
How am I reading that?
It's not bad, Abby.
I know, it's like-
Oh, I thought mine
the
was
advisory
bad.
committee
You're the youngest one here.
know.
submit a resolution to the membership creating the Oregon Rural School Board Members Caucus.
Right. And this has to happen before December 15th, and then I'm gonna nominate you like ASAP.
Okay. I mean, how many people,
Are on it?
yeah.
Does it say that? I haven't read this.
Well, so therefore be it resolved that the proposed bylaws amendment read it online.
Designated
a
caucus
caucus
representative.
As a voting member of the OSBA Board of Directors and Legislative Policy Committee to be submitted to the membership for consideration during the 2023 OSBA election.
Right.
And, should I keep going?
Yeah, man.
Be it further resolved that the bylaws with the proposed amendments and a copy of this resolution be forwarded to all association member boards in accordance with OSBA's adopted elections calendar.
So is there okay, so need to create the caucus, and then one of those caucus members would be designated as a voting member.
Yeah, okay.
Right,
And
exactly.
then resolution 2 is amending the bylaws, adding the rural school board's caucus representative.
All changes are reflected in the proposed bylaws. Only reflects land. Weird. Wow. Clarification of the membership voting process for both resolutions and bylaw amendments. Clarification of an exception to the term limits for the OSBA director serving as immediate past president. Clarification of the definition of a quorum for the OSBA board of directors. Combining the finance and budget committees and outlining the terms of members. Adding a rural school board's caucus representative to the board of directors and the legislative policy committee. Adding language to reflect the school board members of color caucus representation on the LPC, which was inadvertently omitted during the 2018 amendment. Adding information regarding the PACE Board of Trustees under the committees and caucus section of the bylaws. Adding language stating caucuses must comply with OSBA policies and guidelines, and adding language to establish the rural caucus. Edits to grammar, punctuation, and language for readability. Whereas after reviewing the recommended OSBA bylaws as proposed by staff and legal counsel, the OSBA Board of Directors supports the recommendation to amend the bylaws. Therefore, be it resolved by the OSBA Board of Directors that the proposed bylaws be submitted to the membership for consideration during the 2023 OSBA election, and be it further resolved that the proposed bylaws and a copy of this resolution be forwarded to all member boards of the association in accordance with the OSBA Board of Directors adopted elections calendar.
And there's, crosswalk of what bylaws are being changed.
Well, this was all in our packet.
Or on the email anyway.
I mean, in the email. So, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve 7.4 and 7.5, right?
Yeah, a second.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor? Okay, unanimous, fantastic, thank you.
Michelle,
Yes, ma'am.
we should check with Mary first too, to see if she is interested. Because she wasn't here to give a she wasn't here to outfight me for that
Okay,
rural representation.
I will do just that. I'd love to see it tag some kind of mud wrestling for this.
That's not what I thought you were gonna say.
Okay, moving on. This is great. So let's go back to the policies, our favorite part of being board members.
That was a fun night.
This is the fun part. And I asked Sue not to drag us through word verbatim, just to take us through the changes.
The highlight.
Yeah, and, oh, that didn't work, try that again. Okay, so,
What are you trying to do?
go on there. Oh, do you have it up there? Okay, so, no, that's good. So, that's the proposed changes, and then I was pulling up our current so that if there's any questions, I can answer through there. I went through these earlier, but it takes a second. What's this, discrimination?
Yeah.
Is that the first one? Okay, so, come on, internet. There we go. All right, so this first one is backwards from how I was thinking I was gonna do it, so let me get oriented here. Hold on, I have, there, okay. My understanding of this is that it's only changing that 10-day to 30-day, like there's some law changes. If you scroll down below step 3, there's some information there to describe why this, and it's the district's complaint procedure should not exceed a total of 90 days from the initial filing of the complaint, regardless of the number of steps involved, unless the district and the complainant have agreed to a longer time period. And this step 3 was 10 days, and it allows for 30 days instead if we want to look at it and say, like, it's just more rooted in reality, I think.
Yeah.
It's not that we're trying to like stall on a complaint or anything like that. It's just like, hey, sometimes 10 days isn't a turnaround, that even getting the board to meet those kind of things. So
it's a maximum. 30.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. And then down, oh no, sorry, I'm backwards on how I'm looking at this. Yeah, I think that's the only change inside of this one.
Mm-hmm.
The complaint form's the same. Yeah, so that, I mean,
All right.
pretty straightforward if
Cool.
you guys want to extend that. The next one is the paid family medical leave insurance. That is not a current policy. So this version 1 is new. It's a, do you have any background on that?
Since PLO is new,
Yeah.
it just started in September, and so this is a recommended policy in order to have something related to that new leave.
If the district is using an approved equivalent plan.
We are not.
We're not.
No.
So I just want to make sure we don't do this wrong. So,
So there's a version 1 and then.
Yeah, version 2 is if you're using an equivalent. We're
Okay,
using the
oh,
state
okay,
plan.
all right.
so this is all language to have policy that matches the new law for family medical leave, paid family medical leave. And so number of definitions, and then how you're eligible, and then the definitions of the leave at the bottom. I don't know how much people want me to say or not say. Anything that stands out to you.
This is just stuff from the law.
Yeah,
It's just
straightforward.
putting the law into policy for us. So,
And we were,
from what I see.
when we bargained,
We put in the bargaining, we just said we adhere to the law.
yeah, so we didn't take the language from the law and put it in bargaining, because then if it changes, that's
Yeah,
more
then
work.
you don't have to
Yeah,
do it.
and so this would have to change as the law changed, but it's good to have the policy that matches the law.
Okay.
If anybody has questions at any point, just stop me.
There's an AR for it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so that next one is the AR, which doesn't already exist. So this is the corresponding AR for the leave.
So just that they need to give notice and The option that they can use district leave, paid leave Oregon, depending on how much you make, might not pay you 100% of your wages, but you can use leave to make up the difference, and so it's just saying that that's fine with us if you do that.
Okay,
All right,
So we have, some of the places there's the allows or does not allow, so you're just saying, like, you're gonna strike through the,
Yeah,
alright, got
employee
it,
would be allowed, yeah,
okay,
to use,
those will all be allowed.
yeah.
alright, cool.
and then the program exemption?
Yeah, so this one is it adds a lot of, I mean, it's a short policy, but it adds a lot to it. So the top part, content comes primarily from this OAR. If the district would like to add language regarding procedure or authority, it could be added to this policy or an AR could be created. I didn't think that was necessary because of the second sentence, but I can read this whole one out loud. What they're proposing that it will say is the district may excuse students from a state required program or learning activity for reasons of religion, disability, or other reasons deemed appropriate by the district. So, and that essentially existed, the changes from shall to may, it opens it up a little bit more. Then the addition, because it's a may instead of a shall, requests for excusal or accommodation must be in writing and must include the reasons for the request and a proposed alternative for an individualized learning activity which substitutes for the period of time exempt from the program and meets the goals of the learning activity or course being exempt. Requests may be filed by the student's parent or guardian or by a student who is 18 or older or who is an emancipated minor. Requests must be submitted to that'll say principal for this one. The district will determine if credit will be granted for an alternative activity. That end of policy.
Okay.
Any questions or comments on that one?
No.
I'm in agreement with those changes. I guess the very bottom, if the district receives a request for a disability accommodation, the district should consider its obligations under under IDEA and Section 504. So considering these requests in the context of IEPs and 504 plans. So, next one. So, JFCF, the hazing, harassment, intimidation, bullying, menacing, cyberbullying, or teen dating violence reporting procedures for students. The JFCF exists in our policy. Let me make sure I'm not lying here. But the AR does not. Yeah, and the first, that starts with the word hazing, right? Yeah, so I believe last year we updated the JFCF, but the AR wasn't there to match, so this is the corresponding AR to the change that we made. And then, I was looking for when it was, I'm almost positive we did this one last time. And inside that AR, it's new language, so if people looked through and had any questions on that, trying to get to anything I had noticed. The hazing and the menacing was what was added from prior, but we don't have a prior AR either, so.
We're adding this whole thing.
Yeah, and is this the one that had, so step 4, within 10 working days. Step 4, I'm trying to remember if the person making the report is not satisfied at 3. Step 4 is a choice to include. I always think it's important to have appeals processes, so let's just add step 4 into there. And then that 30 days will match that other policy, instead of the 10 days. Within 30, so all the time changes are 30 days to match the other one. So we don't have the old one that was 20 days anyway, but it'll be 30 days. And everything else is pretty straightforward on that. The very bottom, additionally, a copy of all reported acts of hazing, harassment, intimidation, or bullying, menacing, or cyberbullying, or incidents of teen dating violence and documentation will be maintained as a confidential file in the district office. Documentation may be maintained as part of the student's education record. Yeah, as a confidential file. Yeah. Okay. I think we leave that in there. Okay. All good? All right. I think if I recall, the next one is the hardest.
Expulsion.
Yeah, and
We had one.
it exists. Yeah, it's just a lot of changes from the original, and because it exists already, like you want to read it slower. There's a lot. There's some. If I recall, this one has some choices inside of it. I might have the wrong one. There's a lot of these. Okay, where's expulsion? Yeah. So it's a required policy. We have it. A student may only be expelled for the following circumstances versus.
Are we taking out the only?
It's putting it in. Yes. Okay. So original right now is a student may be expelled, so it changes it to only. So that
makes sense.
it's kind of it's like, hey, this policy exists because this is what we've said is worthy of expulsion, not these and these other things you might think are okay.
It's in policy.
Yeah. They changed the word behavior to conduct on number 2. May not be used to address truancy, and then when required by law, which sometimes happens. And then the threat number 2, it poses a threat to the health or safety of students. Direct threat, and there are instances where threat gets defined in different ways. So the direct is like immediate harm, and from that person. There's the removal of, by waiving the right to a hearing, the student and parent agree to abide by the findings of a hearing officer.
Who defines what threat is?
So those
threat or emotional duress, or what is threat?
Yeah, so it's not defined there. So when a school administrator determines based on the observations or upon a report from an employee, the student's conduct poses a direct threat to the health or safety of students or employees. So that, I think it could be a lot of types of threat, but it's harm that's.
It's the discretion of the
administrator, yeah, and expulsion hearings, they go through the board in executive session and stuff, so it'd be administrator and then presenting that case and talking about it and saying, this is a direct threat.
Well, and in the past, we've had threat assessments from an outside party, and so I would think that you like on that.
So one slight change to that is that's gone through Children's Center? Child Center. The ESD is supporting those processes now, and so we don't have to pay money for it. Sometimes if there's a question though, we could say it's gone through a level 2 at the ESD, there's still a question or something else got added to it, let's do a Child Center review or something like that. So there's definitely a process that plays out to determine threat. So, and then this part here is where, so you choose one of the following 2 options. Is this one smaller than the other ones? I feel like I'm going blind. Okay. The board delegates the authority to decide on an expulsion to the superintendent. The superintendent may designate another person to handle the potential expulsion, and the superintendent, a designee, or another individual may act as the hearings officer. The district may contract with an individual who is not employed by the district to serve as a hearings officer. The hearings officer will not be associated with the initial actions of the building administrators. The hearings officer will conduct the hearing and make a final decision regarding the expulsion. A decision of the hearing officer may be appealed by the parent or the student if age 18 or over to the board for review. So this one's an outside hearing officer coming in to help move through that process.
Well, it says that it may designate another person, but it also says the superintendent may act as the hearings officer.
Right, and then on the bottom, it's
Yeah,
the
okay.
board takes that position
In the second choice.
in the second choice.
Yeah. Unless it has been waived. Okay, sorry. So that first one, it could be I think the first one is how it's been, and actually, let me pull that up to,
Actually,
that's what I meant to tell
the
you.
second one is how it's been. The board has been the expulsion board, not the superintendent.
Okay, so trying to match it to the two. This comes after, yeah, it's just written way different. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Sorry, I'm just checking one thing here, what comes after that change. When a recommendation for an expulsion is made. Yeah, it's interesting, it puts in this whole, that choice is not in this currently, like the current ones, so I'm trying to see how they lay out who does it.
I mean, it wasn't a choice. I thought we're supposed to pick a choice, right?
Now,
Right.
yeah, in the prior one, a lot of times we've picked something already, and then it's kind of comparing to that. This is written way different than the original, but I'm trying to see if there's language on who the hearing officer is. So it says no student may be expelled without a hearing unless the student's parents or the student of 18 by age waive the right to a hearing either in writing or by failure to appear. By waiving the right to a hearing, the student and parent agree to abide. Notice will be given in this way about a hearing. The board may expel or may delegate the authority to decide on an expulsion to the superintendent or superintendent's designee, who may also act as the hearings officer. The district may contract with an individual who is not employed by the district to serve as the hearings officer. The hearings officer designated by the board will conduct the hearing and will not be associated with the initial actions of the building administrators. That's like step 2 inside of like the process for the hearing, which is laid out different.
So they're taking a lot of that out and just shifting it up
into one of those two.
Yeah.
Yep. So I guess right now it's written as the board can do it or can delegate the authority, and in these,
Right, which is more like the second, the or choice.
okay, yeah, including the recommendation. So that second one puts it as like, hey, we did this investigation. Let's come present the facts to you guys. You can do it yourself, or is there another? Is it you're serving as the hearing officer in that case? Right.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's.
Or it does say or a third party. Yeah. You
Yeah.
can get a third party if
Yeah.
needed. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, unless we think there's some reason for the superintendent position to be like, sort of the more empowered for on this, I would say we leave it more like it is.
The second one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that totally works for me. It allows, as administrators, to come in and be like, hey, we ran
That's
the,
why I'm thinking.
we did this whole
Right.
process. Can you confirm that we did it right and make this decision
Yeah.
collectively versus
Right.
coming in and say, like,
I feel like
Doing
it's
it
another
involves
removal from the situation, another step of removal from
Yeah.
the situation, and that is probably a good thing to have.
Yeah, because often, you're not gonna get to the board. You're gonna do your thing and you'll make a recommendation if it gets appealed and then I mean, it's the second step. If it's you, well, actually, that's
We
not
have to have
true.
an expulsion hearing.
for expulsion, it
That's not-
has to go to a.
Right, I
Yeah.
was, actually, I'm reversing what forget what I just said.
Even as you were saying it, you didn't like it.
I know, as it started coming out of my mouth, I'm like, that's not what I mean.
Yeah.
Just keep fake it till you make it.
Yeah, right, wait,
Just take a drink of your water.
yeah. Okay, so that, yes, we've made a decision there, right?
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, so then we're on to public complaints.
Give me 1 second to send a follow-up real quick.
Doesn't it feel late?
Mhm.
It's like dark for so long.
Well, you know.
All my
'cause
clocks are
just
still
a couple
an
weeks
hour
ago,
off.
it was almost 9.
I swear,
Yeah.
I know.
It takes so long. Like it doesn't bother me right at first, and then it bothers me later.
Yeah, okay.
I was in Atlanta last week, so I'm all messed up.
Oh,
It switched while I
totally.
went, and
I mean, isn't that one
What time
thing
it
we
is.
could agree to, like, just
Yeah, like,
not
just do
change
it.
Did it
the
stop?
clocks?
And I
Not
think
yet.
is it next year, or are they still waiting for like California?
Yes, they're waiting for California.
okay, so it's still gonna keep
Because it
happening
needs to be like
until
all
then.
3 of us, right?
Yeah.
Like Washington.
I am from Arizona, where we have never
Right,
participated
I
in this, and it's
know.
weird. I will say that's the weirdest thing about
Yes,
it.
totally.
Weird, I agree.
I
Okay,
just want to
so
stay
we-
on the other time,
Mhm.
not this time.
We're springing forward all the time.
The only, just to name a couple changes inside of that one before we move on, sorry,
It's like date changes. Oh, you're at the other one.
on the expulsion, yeah, I just,
They're striking a lot.
there's a lot of striking and changing from like a recommendation to a statement of intent, to consider, like, some of that's legal language. The student may be represented by counsel or other persons versus right to represent it. Like, most of it's legalese. Interpreter, the bottom one, footnote 2 is probably the most important there, that the evidence may include the relevant past history and student records. I don't know if that wasn't allowable before, but it's specific that, like, it's not just based on a single event, but you can pull all of that in.
That makes sense. I mean, that's good.
That makes sense to have that in there.
And they opened up who the representation can be: attorney, parent, or other person. And the new number 8, a board conducted hearing or a board review of the hearing officer's decision. So that's accounting for you all being the hearing and not having somebody else come in, so it cleans that language up. Okay, while we're going through, I wanna make sure there's not anything weird. Yeah, we have to give them other places to go. Alright, public complaints, if I recall, this one,
It looks like it's
Those dates change, yeah.
yeah, it was just the 10-day kind of thing, right? Or sorry, to
20 days.
to 30, to 30.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything else inside of that. Down below at charter schools, we don't need that, we'll exit out. And looks like a footnote addition on 3. That has to do with charters, so it doesn't apply to us. So we'll X out anything that has to do with charters for now. Okay.
So that
That's it.
that was just moving it from 20 days to 30
30
days?
days, yeah, and it's just
Okay.
making sure all those public complaint processes are the same in all areas.
Okay, so that was is that our second reading or is that the first reading of those?
First.
First, yeah.
All right, so next month we get to vote on that.
Ask any questions and vote. Yep,
Mhm.
cool.
Okay, and we
Yeah,
did
thank you
vote.
guys.
Sure, thank you. We went through the resolutions, we're now into discussion items, parking optional overflow location. What's this about? What? Oh. You guys, you're totally down for it. I totally down for it. 100%. Wow.
Level it, and you got
Gotcha.
optional parking.
All right.
And the
Oh my God,
acronym,
that is so
He
good.
was proud of this one. We met this morning. He's like, did you see what I named it? And I was like,
Oh
I
my
actually
God,
didn't
this
look. I'll be surprised tonight.
That is so good,
Yeah.
Sharon.
I liked the
Excellent.
POOL, yeah.
Play a lot of things with that.
Oh, that's so good.
Cool.
Yeah, right.
Nothing because you don't think, right?
did you want?
We had a conversation, obviously, like, I need to meet with, Kurt before we can do anything else, but just naming, like, in the, like, priority, I hate to use that because they're all priorities, but possible priorities, we have an insurance issue there and need to attend to it, and the cost of whatever comes of that is gonna be so high that it's gonna be prohibitive to the other 2 buildings. I'm of the opinion that if we get those other 2 buildings up and like renovated and
By this, you mean the art building?
Yep, the middle school building and the industrial arts building. Am I actually pointing the right way?
Yeah.
It's only taken me a year and a quarter, but like, there will be days where I'm pointing the exact opposite, so. I'm of the opinion that if we get those 2 really up and going with community programming and the things we're talking about, I would like, still in conversations about a school-based health center over here, and say like, here's the return on investment when we fund buildings, and those are a level of capital investment that are they're still high, but they're doable, and we show how much we've generated and put into those buildings, then I think it opens possibilities both for fundraising and funders, outside funders for the pool or the POOL, and for potential bonds down the road. But we're already paying back a bond, like it's just without some other action that I don't know how to pay for that building. And so one of the things we talked about is like, do we just put up a high fence with some barbed wire around it for a while? So it's ugly, I mean, it's horrible, and we have to do something that keeps folks away and out of it, and where it's a liability and they're not gonna insure us. And so like, just to think, I just wanna put that out there and say like, I think we need to be thinking in that way, or if somebody has a better idea than that, but strategically, I think it makes sense to start out here and really get moving, and, you know, then use that momentum towards whatever happens back here, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think that those other buildings need work, and the longer they don't get work, sort of the more they're gonna
It's more
cost too,
expensive.
and
Yep.
so like.
Well, and if you show what can be done,
Yeah.
you get better support and trust in that you're gonna make something good happen.
Yeah.
And while we're doing that, that building's degrading further. And
Yeah.
becoming less potential, whatever
Yeah.
it was gonna be.
And it already is. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's my takeaway recently, where it's like, fast action doesn't make that thing any cheaper. It's
Not significant enough,
no,
for sure.
yeah, and so, and it makes these more expensive. Because even, I mean, not even just degradation, but it gets more expensive every day we wait because of all the costs of things.
increases.
Yeah. So, anyway, we don't have to make decisions tonight, anything like that. I just wanted to say, like, I think that's where we're likely headed unless somebody's like, wait, here's this other idea.
Here's $10 million.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Is that Kurt's take on it as well?
I need to meet with him as a follow-up. His presentation was really, and when I met with him, kind of straightforward. He's excited about some of the potentials he shared back here when he was here. But I didn't hear anything from him that was like, oh, here's this cheaper route that da-da-da-da. There just was, and maybe when we meet, he'll have this other grand idea that I'll come back and say, just kidding, here we talked about this, but I need to meet with him. So we did meet with what was that called? An ESCO called Amoresco, which is like an energy
service company.
Yeah, and came out and did an assessment and walked around and showed all the different plans and ideas and hoping, and I mean, I'll explore any way to get capital funding, and they had some ideas towards energy savings and kind of doing some solar type stuff, but none of it helped really save enough money to invest in capital. And so right now we're gonna write and say, good to know. We'll follow up as we vision further and things are happening. We'll kind of keep this in our back pocket, but we're not going to make any steps towards it. But nothing came out of that exploration to say, oh, here's this great opportunity for capital investment based on energy savings. So cross that one off the list.
Okay. Well, I mean, reality is making itself pretty evident. Day by day by day. So we're gonna have to make the hard decision somewhere and put our efforts toward whatever it is that makes the most sense. I'm interested to hear what Kurt says. And a parking lot over there is not such a bad idea.
It doesn't cost very much, right?
Yeah. We'll connect with Pace too in that follow-up to just add, or that's what we talked to, right?
Yeah.
To find out like how much fencing.
What
I mean,
we have to
what
do.
do we really need to do to have that building be safe enough as we move forward? So we'll ask those questions too.
Okay. Thanks.
Yep.
Anything on tribal shared history?
I hope I'm not forgetting anything, but I went to the Confederated Tribe. I didn't report on that last month, right? That was this month. Confederated Tribes of Puslo and Saysla's Educator Day, and made some connections there. One of the opportunities is a grant that they have for measuring air quality along in the region, and just being a site where they have a couple air quality things. And I'm going to follow up and say, yep, I already told them, yep, you can do that here, but we'll follow up and get that done. And then met their education specialist. I forget his title, but he's great, and we're in conversation. So
Air quality measuring what?
There was a couple things on that. A lot of it's the smoke type levels. That's the impetus for it. I feel like there was something else in there. I can't remember off the top of my head. So.
Okay. How's it going with screen time?
We're going a little bit more use. We've got some. It's a couple middle schoolers, but who hang out way too long in the bathroom, and we know that's a screen time thing, and we're addressing some bathroom behaviors and time on.
You kind of expected some.
Time on bathroom, not time on screens. Currently, we have an influx of IBS right now. So.
We had I was at the OSBA conference, and it was one of the, when I was in this rural caucus group, they asked what, what's going on in your school, what's happening, and wow, when I said that we were a screen-free classroom district, I was inundated with, how did you do that? Oh, we gotta do that. That's fantastic. So, I was really proud to share that.
I saw Florida just did away with all screens, no screen, like at all schools.
None of this, anything.
No,
Whoa.
no phones during break, no phones during lunch.
Like all day.
All day, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that,
Laptops?
No,
for
I think
instruction?
just
So just
phone.
phone, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess like, I don't know, at one school there was like 114 phones confiscated the first day.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, just like, not seeing outside of the classroom, like when we have late practice, we have time between school and practice, and, the kids ask about phones, we don't want you to have phones, we're your team, we wanna interact with each other, and they just were like, they said okay, and they put them away, and there was no, and then they're like, I need to talk to my mom or whatever, fine, like, tell us, and then you can do that, and then put the phone away again, but that was nice, because they already had that they were okay with it already, and they already sort of just were like, okay, that's the deal. So,
And it's so cool that you could say, this is team building, like, this is kind of,
yeah, totally.
yeah, definitely.
That's 21 kids willing to do that 2 more hours.
Wow.
Beyond a long school day. I mean, that's,
Yeah.
that's cool, special. Yeah.
Very cool.
Oh, sorry. You
Yeah,
need
the training, the
agenda, not me.
OSBA training, but you were gonna set us up.
Yeah, so I have one thing to share, and I have a contact me in, and I this is one of those things I meant to do before this meeting and was out of town, and it fell off the list, so I'm partway through, but I'll follow up with dates. Sorry, it's open somewhere here. There's a 3-part series that they offer. Oh, shoot. If I don't have it open, I'm not gonna read it to you right now. I swear one of these is that. Shoot. Well, anyway, there's a series of 3 trainings they do. One is like the basics. The third one gets into like the board's role in like visioning and moving instructional leadership, all these like the things that like I feel like you all are really invested in. And it says, I think it says requires numbers 1 and 2 first. So I have that on their website, there's a contact me, but it's just a send an email, and I did that 2.5 days ago, and I just, as of like 3:00 today, I didn't have an email back. But I did reach out to Krista Parent and get 2 names for exactly who to ask for, but she didn't give me a phone number with it. So tomorrow I'll use the phone number that I found on the Google search and call and say, can you get me to one of these 2 people? And then I'll send you guys some dates. And just to confirm, I think last month we went back and forth for a little bit, but landed on January as the ideal spot to look for. So I'll ask for their availability dates in January and then send those out to you.
And what's the price tag?
It doesn't say on here. We're OSBA members, so that's the other question is like,
What are you charging?
yeah, is this just included in being an OSBA
Right.
member district, or is there an additional cost? But I couldn't find anything in the search. Sorry, I meant to say that. I couldn't find anything in the search that said it cost money. So I will confirm that.
Okay. Restorative justice and practices, there's an update on that?
Not anything specific. Yeah.
Okay. The charter school in Saisla. What you got for us there? Any more info?
I mean, in all honesty, y'all are more connected to it than I am in a lot of ways. I feel like the last board meeting when it was like just happening was where I heard the most chatter about that. I was appreciative of your guys' conversation about impacts and like things to watch and worry, and kind of be thinking strategically towards. I think somebody sent out, or at least sent to me, they're intending to open next year, not the following. I think there was a little bit of
24,
yeah, so 24.
Oh, not in 25, like
Yeah,
it said.
Yeah, so it's 24 and
K
yeah, I can remember that. It's
yeah.
6. Okay.
And then I think,
and then
still that.
Expand from there. So, I don't know what to discuss but it's a thing.
I mean, I had that like kind of feeling like, well, how do we even go about like considering how this might affect us? Like, I don't know. Are there any other, districts we can ask, like how this, but I do think that I wonder if we should initiate just conversations so we are up to date with either Andy G or with the board or something. Because, I mean, I think there's some ways that, I don't know how Sayusaw as a district is thinking about it either, but for us, if we have, a set, like charter schools all around us, but we can't draw any kids who might want to come here instead or something like that, that's difficult. So, it's difficult for our enrollment, it's difficult for us. So, I just feel like we should since we don't really, since I don't know where to start, I feel like starting with just asking questions.
So in your idea of opening up communication, is it to make them feel responsible to us for not taking our kids, or?
No.
How?
No, it's to be like what actually is happening, how will it play out there so that we can think about how it would impact us. Because right now, as of now, I don't know.
But we do know what's happened with Triangle Lake, and some of our kids are there.
Right.
And so.
Yeah, but like how is Sayusaw schools
what's the structure?
seen? Like, okay, well, next year, this charter school can take this percentage away from our elementary and our middle school. Like, what are they foreseeing, and why and how are they okay with that? For approving, right?
Yeah. And so like also then thinking like, okay, so that's basically is just kind of trying to figure out first getting because I've been getting information from the news or from people who are talking about it because they plugged in a little bit or something like that. But I don't have any actual for real information about the planning behind it as the charter board and as the district. So I feel like starting with understanding that and then going from there to think how will that impact. So understanding the plan structure down there as it develops and how that might impact us and then what that means we need to do.
So they have a board and then they have a charter board?
Charters have
Charters have a board. But then the school district has a board.
But the school board is who
School board
voted
approved that the charter could be there.
Mhm.
Yeah. And they have to be holding that charter. Or the state can, but like our charter school, we have a contract with Fernridge School District, which is obviously, they must be with the Sayusaw School District if they approved them. So they have a contract with them. There's still, even though it's under your district, there's still issues all the time. Like we're getting ready to renew our contract. Like there's always still issues. Like we take students away from there. You're not taking it away from the district. You're taking it away from the school's entity and those numbers and things like that. So it is interesting and curious to find out why, or so that they're okay with it.
Yeah.
How do you foresee making those inroads?
I think you just call
Colin.
Yeah. Pick
Like,
someone
you're
on
gonna
each
call
one and call.
who?
I would say that it makes sense to start with asking maybe Sue to talk to Andy so that there's a superintendent conversation going on, and then like board to board. So like it would be calling the board chair, and just saying, hey, we're interested in this. Can you tell us more about it? That's all those are my not so bright ideas, but I don't have any others.
I think we can sit here and let it happen to us, or we can make some
That's what I'm thinking,
Yeah.
since we
Or
don't
just
really know what
forecast,
to
foresee,
do, it's
yeah.
just like, let's just start trying to figure it out. Yeah.
And then, even so, some of it is just gonna happen to us and we're gonna have to deal with it the way.
Yeah.
It is.
Can I ask a question? Just like in my own thinking, I had never considered pursuing being a charter district.
Yeah.
But like Mackenzie School District is a charter district where the board and the charter are the same.
Mhm.
Well, actually, it has two boards.
Mhm.
We don't want that. But Mackenzie's got it in a way that, and they have, I don't know, like, is that the kind of proactive measure that we start to talk about if we see like, oh, this is
I would think
moving
if you
towards
saw,
it, or is
if you
there,
saw certain things,
Yeah.
I don't think you have to now, but I think if you saw certain possibilities that could happen, then you investigate that.
That's right. That was my only one I could think of because it's the only example I have, you know, of a way to sort of just, really it's a way to ensure that we could also accept students, you know, more students who wanted to come here that were out of district. And yeah.
I mean, we did that once. We did actually entertain the notion of becoming one. And I think, you know, you have to have your pros and cons. Why would we do this? Are we doing it to save our souls because we're being eaten up by districts on either side of us? And I mean, that's certainly a good reason.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to get rid of certified teachers, not to,
Right. Yeah.
because that is something that.
And I
mean, it's
assume you
true,
could
but I
set
don't
your own
think
rules.
you
Like you could say
can.
we would still require these certifications.
Yeah.
We would still require these
I
things.
think that's still important
Yeah.
to do.
it's purely for enrollment
Yes.
Yeah.
reasons
Yeah,
to
yeah.
open that up, and maybe you add something creative into,
Yeah.
you know, then to really like,
Yeah.
if
To
you
draw
have that, then
attention.
what do you do,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah, okay, I was asking that question to see, are there other like, is that the main thing we're kind of talking about, or is there something else?
I wasn't mentioning that one because it's the only one I know, but I also like feel like that's not a good reason to just go with that. Like we should try.
But I feel
and
like that's
see
where
what
we jump first. Like I
Yeah.
think it's, let's see what's really happening there and how impactful does it seem like it's gonna be?
else. Mhm.
Because they're gonna move on through all the grade levels eventually.
Mhm.
And what, are they becoming like a charter school to be like they have a specialty that draws people in? Because some charter schools aren't really like, we are the
It's like
culinary school, or we're the art.
it's a class like classical education is there. I won't. There's a lot of they have a whole explanation of it that you should read on you know, and it's available online. But that's the sort
I'll
of
make a note to myself. You got, when it got mentioned last board meeting, it was the first I'd heard of it, and I kind of went into shock, and then I blew it off and didn't think about it for the rest of it until now.
right. Yeah. Anyway, I think it's great for us to be, you know, I guess at this point it is reactive, but mildly, you know, like, yeah, but still, but like be as proactive from here on out as we can, because.
I mean, I think we have to look at like our school district just as like, are we confident in our school district? And if we aren't, and if there's like, you know, take a look at it as a whole and like, are there things that we do here that will drive people away? And if so, then that needs to be changed. I mean, I think it's a good thing for Siuslaw for people to have a choice of where they can send their kid or where kids can go. But yeah, I think if we're confident enough in our school district and what we're doing, then it shouldn't be.
Yeah, and I am.
That was my thinking last meeting, and then listening to some of the like, but enroll. So my biggest thing was interdistrict transfers.
Yeah.
That's where I got worried was, well, we don't necessarily have enough kids living in our region because of housing issues. And if those housing issues keep trending, we can get too small anyway. So we are dependent on some IDTs, and we have 3 7th graders starting this week.
They came from Siuslaw?
They came from all over. But we're like, you know, we get enrollment. We've been able to sustain enrollment from beginning of last year on, and at quarters we tend to get more, which I feel good about. And there are some housing and population trends that are scary across, and the reality is I have 5 kindergartners, so that like,
Wow.
and kindergarten's small across the state, but we can't sustain multiple small sizes, right? Or small class sizes like that. And so if Sayusla is impacted enough that they say, actually, we can't sign IDTs, we can't lose kids either,
Right.
that's scary to me. That's the piece where I was like, let's just be the best. You know, like that's kind of my approach to life. And when I thought about that, when you guys said that, I was like, well, all right, let's think about it.
Right.
Let's care.
Because I am confident in us. I think we are a great school, and I think there's things we can like continue to be great at, and we can let people know how great we are at specific things and stuff like that. So I'm confident in us.
But we don't know why they're changing school down, you know, we don't know what those things are.
Yeah, and like, right, and if Sayusla says we aren't granting any more inter-district transfers because we need those kids down here, then that automatically reduces our enrollment by however many inter-district transfers we had, and it is.
Well, because the school districts can cap at 3%. So.
Yes, which is not very many kids, it turns out, Yep. So.
I mean, I understand the capping, why you would do that, but I mean, to your point that people should have a right to change schools or choose their schools, there's a reason why kids come to this school. That it's not working for them over there. So really, it's kind of punitive to me that charter model that says, you're staying here. Well, you know, you would thrive over here, but you're staying here.
Well, no, the charter, that's
Still
the charter
choice.
model.
Yeah.
That would be like if
existing.
the school district didn't let a student leave.
Yeah, that's like
right.
the existing model where they'll.
Right.
Yeah.
But the capping, you can cap at 3%.
That if you
Yes.
you can, if a school district has had 3% of their population exit their district, you know, and attend school in other districts, they can deny them.
Yeah.
They can deny everyone after that.
We can do that,
Yes.
Yeah.
and we don't.
Well, we typically have we set up,
A one-to-one.
well, it depends. I mean, not right. We set up an agreement with
Right.
Sayusla and then.
Yeah.
Like,
Right now,
that's
right now, we've just, both
Yeah.
sides have just been like, let's
Yeah.
get kids where they are gonna be
Yeah.
best, and
Exactly.
we call each other, it's cordial, we say like, and we, you know,
Share
share
information.
information about like, why are they coming to us? What do you think? How do we support them?
Yeah.
And the finances are real. Like that cap, I don't see Sayusla doing it because
No.
you have to stay here. I see it being a financial, like, we can't lose more than 3% of kids outside the district because we've already lost at the building level this many to a charter. And so, like, they can't sustain their programs or their staffing, those kind of things. And at that point, you have to make real.
I thought we were doing one for one.
No, I would say we're benefiting right now. So,
Oh, boy, okay.
Yeah.
So are you gonna call the board chair?
I mean, I can. I'm not our board chair, so I don't know if they care.
We can designate who you want.
she's very fierce today, so.
Right.
She's not the board chair either.
Right. Totally. Yeah, I mean, I don't care. I will.
And I can call Andy and just say like, is there a kind of formal statement that I can share over to our side and.
Yeah, and just like, or also just thoughts that even if he doesn't end up wanting them shared with us, that help inform, you know, thoughts you have, like would be. I think that because I have no other ideas about place to start, that's what makes sense to me. So I would do that. I would call.
Okay.
Just to acknowledge his position, like that's a really political thing right now, and
exactly.
Like, I don't know that I have an expectation of a real formal response because I think some of it is like let's wait and see, you know. But and they're moving through it, so I just to put that forward, I will call and ask, and there might not be a lot of information back just for.
And that might be the case from the board too. Like I agree that who knows, but
although the board, I think you might get more out of the board because the board in public session voted to do this. Yeah. And you know, I don't know.
So there were conversations.
I don't know that Andy's a big proponent of it either. Who knows?
No, I know. I mostly would want information And so hopefully that would just be information that they gained, and is mostly public knowledge, or is public knowledge anyway.
Well, and I think, so if our biggest thing is enrollment, that's where I hear the concerns, right?
Yeah.
It's purely an enrollment thing, so I think questions like how many students per grade level are you, like,
That's in that.
starting,
That's
is that in there?
That's
Okay,
in the packet, the goals are, the goals are in the packet, yeah.
okay.
And that's
They-
on the SAISLA website?
No,
You
it's
have
on
to go
the,
find theirs.
it's on the website for the
So you
charter
said
school.
charter school.
Yeah. It probably was provided to the board as probably part of a board packet, I would imagine. So,
Okay.
also.
So, yeah, so I'll focus on enrollment information in the request too, and then I'll try to look in and read that.
Were they unanimous? Was it?
No, there was one
One no.
no.
Okay, you should probably call that person too.
I mean, but I don't wanna, I don't wanna avoid
They might express.
political
they
about
might
it.
express the no. They
Yeah,
might express
I just
what,
wanna, right, but it would be good to have as much information from as many people as we can get, so, yeah. Why not?
Okay. The school board, let's see, we're not gonna have, nobody's here, no one's gonna
No,
say.
no
Comments from the board. Any comments? Are we any closer to revamping our website?
We did. No, yeah, just
added
kidding.
Very different. It looks the same.
Yeah. I don't know.
I was contemplating making a shift to it. You had some nice big, I need to go with things that are happening in the district. If people send me stuff about what's going on in the district, and I can post them up there. And if I have pictures, then I can have pictures on there, and I can shift it over to a static page. I could shift it over and change it up a little bit to possibly look a little nicer without a complete overhaul, I think, and stuff. So,
Yeah, I mean,
A short term and a longer term.
oh, is that what so in the long term, we're gonna have an overhaul, is that correct? Cause I mean, just visually,
Yeah, well, I think he's saying some of the visual will get better in that shift over.
yeah, and then it just depends on.
But then I think yes, for me, in the longer term, getting a revamp and just even lay out like what information's where as we're
and what's user
articulating
friendly?
curriculum.
I mean, and I think you had said that your website is really kind of nice and we don't have to reinvent the wheel, but if that looks
I mean, it
good.
costs you certain people, but so worth it.
Right,
And then just the rights that we have, seeing back ends of it or making changes and adaptations to it is pretty simple. So.
yeah. I mean, I know this is a process, it's not the top priority, but it is something
Is
that's,
it?
it's sort of one of those things that's kind of sits right here for me.
Yeah, and it's not pretty and functional, yeah.
No, and it's really not, I mean, it's just not really, what'd you say?
Appealing?
Well, it's not appealing, but I mean, to use it, it just, there's a word I'm trying to think of, not user-friendly. There's another- That's good. That'll work. It's not
It's a little
intuitive.
cumbersome to get through it.
And there's like
When I
the
search
one
for
on
certain
top, and
stuff.
then there's the drop down on the bottom, like, which one am I dropping down, and where am I going, yeah.
I mean, now I know where I'm going for the few things I go there for, but it's not, it could definitely be more attractive.
It's just one of the things about websites, like they need overhauls every once in a while because website ecology changes all around, and so it's like time to do that, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to enjoy it when you're on it, and we're all kind of visual, and it couldn't be more of a visual interaction than when you're staring at something.
Well, like you can do it to where you can, like even on ours, I think it's a video thing that plays through, but like other site, when we compared and shopped and looked for other ones, like it can be kind of like a scrolling streaming thing. And so you could change those, like, okay, well now we just had these events happen in the fall, so we can update, you know, like here's the homecoming football game and here's that, and it just kind of scrolls through the photos as you're perusing the site to see where you want to go. So
It sure would be a cool thing, like as a project, like with Courtney and a graphic designer in the community and the kids, and like if that could somehow
if
happen.
it can, yeah. I mean, I don't know
It's
how
probably,
time consuming or long that takes, or
yeah,
versus a company or not, I don't know.
yeah, well, with companies quicker and
But they just cost more, yeah.
yeah.
Exactly.
Right. But whatever, short term, this will just be, continue to talk about it.
But there's still consequences happening for the kids that,
That's one question.
That gets more complex every day, just to name out loud. I can't share a lot of any of that,
In public.
but it gets more complex every day. So yes, there's what can I say? Yes, and hopefully is my right now. Let me follow up individually with folks on that one, because I can't do that here, but.
I've just been, like, I go over to the elementary side a little bit just to volunteer or whatever, and I just see like a lot of behaviors over there, and it's like, does it trickle down into, getting when they get older because they aren't being reprimanded over there, you know what I mean? I don't know, I just hear little bits and pieces, like, I don't know, like, some kids
really
get,
putting an end to it or not.
Yeah. like, is it getting nipped in the bud at the elementary level, and then, but like, I just hear things like, oh, maybe this kid got a sucker because they didn't use, display a bad behavior all day. But then other kids,
We don't give any suckers out. I just want to name out loud.
I'm just like using it as like
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I was
Yeah.
like, let me discuss
Like
that.
kids get rewarded for not doing a bad behavior, but then other kids that don't do that behavior all day long and all year long don't get. You know what I mean? I don't know.
So, yeah. Behavioral needs are complex. There's, I would say the overwhelming majority of our students are not on any sort of reward behavior plan kind of thing. And then there are some students who are learning various coping skills. Some are students with disabilities and some are not, but display, kind of similarly, and are on some very explicit and evolving behavior plans, and that's all the way down to kindergarten, and they're rewards are a part of behavior plans, will always be, especially for younger ages, because they're extrinsically motivated teaches for a while, and then you add some intrinsic, and we're working through that with a lot of kids. I would argue that the behaviors of vandalizing school property are not related to the behavior type plans at elementary in any way. There's a very different set there, and I think the students who access the pool, there were very different levels that played out there as well, and unfortunately there's some complexities inside of the involvement since then that make it hard to kind of pull those two apart. So I'll follow up individually with folks and give an update on that. But yeah.
Okay, call us. Yes. Anything else for the good of the order, or are we ready to entertain a motion to adjourn?
I only want to bring up one, kind of a major thing for me. So, and I never know in this instance if I can speak as I have to play this role, or if I can speak into different roles.
Well, when you're here, you speak as a board member.
So as that, I would say from different hearings, from people, I would say, or information I've been told or asked, I would just say making sure that staff is equally as accountable for their performance or timelines as is expected of our students. Because I know I've hugely encountered it a lot and I've expressed it multiple times, but other people have mentioned it as well, where the students are expected to be accountable for a lot of things, whether it's deadlines on projects or their responsibilities just as a student in timeliness and to their fellow students and teachers. But sometimes I don't know if the teachers are held to that same accountability, and it's came out in various ways, whether their timeliness is not there, it's not prioritized in their daily tasks. And it's been a huge trickle down effect. So I would just hope that that's a focus, that they're definitely should be portraying what they're expected, and regardless of what is expected of the students, I would think that I would want the staff to perform that way regardless of what's expected of the students. So just making sure that they're prioritizing their time as well. Maybe they're too busy, I don't know, but they gotta find a way to do it, so.
Probably a good one-on-one conversation so that you can, I mean, it sounds like it's global, and I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's not all staff.
I think it's multiples, yeah, I think so.
But I mean, when we talk about our staff, that is, that's executive session stuff to.
No, well, I just think as a cultural state of it here, I would say that. I feel like it's kind of bleeding into a bit of overall. I think it seems like it's just kind of been the becomings of it. And so I think it is globally, or as a culture there. It's not in particular of certain people where it would be like reprimanded wise. I think it's just I've heard it from multiple people, and we've had the conversation. I myself have encountered it multiple times. So once it's become not just me, then it seems concerning to me, so.
All right.
You're looking at me. Am I supposed to say something?
You don't have to say
Okay. Sorry, I was putting a note to myself. I tuned out.
Board comments, and that's something I would hope that you would talk about. Yes. Any other board comments?
I was gonna say at the last board meeting, but it went like super long. But I was at one of the middle school games. I think you were there too, and I just kind of like briefly mentioned it. But I saw a lot of families vaping on the school grounds.
God!
At the football, yeah, every we were the only family there that wasn't actively vaping.
That's not true.
Well, you were up there, yeah. In the stands.
And then you should have seen me, Zoom.
We saw you up there.
Wow.
I believe that was our last. I believe that was our last game.
I think it was the second to last.
Okay, so one of the things I've talked about is adding into the welcome blah blah blah.
No vaping.
That this is it's a tobacco, make it very clear that it's tobacco free and vaping free campus, and this is not allowable.
They probably feel like because they're outside, they'll get away with it more.
I was just like,
oh,
right.
Wow.
It is.
And like we worked
trash.
so hard with the students.
Yeah, right.
To not, and so to like,
Yeah. I was just like,
it's been a push with the kids.
Yeah.
Wow.
and it's so obvious when people are doing it because it's so like a big thing.
Wow.
Like it's like, oh.
Is it tobacco?
I don't know. I don't know. I think so. I don't know what it is. Vaping? Is it
There's
tobacco?
various,
I mean, it could be all.
it could be all sorts of things.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully tobacco.
I
Just
just
seems
know
to
it's like plume a little more
plume
than smoke.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, oh, I like nudged Kevin. I was like, is that what? He's like, all around. I'm like, oh. Okay.
I just
Awkward.
saw a movie where there's a cutaway of that, and the guy's like, I'm vaping, I'm not smoking, and he's like, there's all this smoke, it's in comedy.
Yeah, it's like
Just
more
because
than.
it's
hello.
like cotton candy doesn't mean it's like.
No, that's smoke. If there's smoke, you're smoking.
And it's still pretty like, is it better and like manageable and maintainable in?
It's better than
student
this
level.
time last year.
Good.
It
Seems
is still a thing. You know what, and we have kids coming and asking for help to quit. Like, there are some good things happening in that realm, but there's too many kids starting, and the access to it, we cannot compete with the access to it. We've got the sensors, we follow up, we do all the things we can. We actually provide suckers for that, just so you know. Going back to the sucker comment.
You're a liar.
So those who
A different level of age.
they're open for anyone, and we go through them like that. We go too fast. We can't even sustain it right now because all the sugar fiends were like, "Me too," and I'm like, "No, we're trying to prevent vaping." But anyway,
Wow.
we try. But that's one of the things that people who are trying to quit, it helps them. So, but I mean, the access is scary, and the more, we gotta start younger, because they're not starting at middle school. Yeah, they're starting before that, which is scary.
What?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. By the time they're in 7th grade,
They've already been.
a lot of them have tried it, some of them have a habit.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
just to name, like, that education starts earlier and earlier, and I haven't seen this for vaping specifically, but I imagine it's similar research. But the now I need to look it up and see it. Remember if it's 4th or 5th grade is the key spot to do tobacco education, anti-tobacco education, and those messages don't land older than that. And I'm forgetting if it's 4th or 5th, so don't quote me. But it's not a, and we believe me, we talk about it a lot up here. But it's by here they've made up their mind whether they're going to do it or not, and sometimes there's a little more access, but it's not. And an anti-vaping campaign isn't what's going to get them to not do it. It's just them making that decision, and if they do it, then saying, and it's just making it harder here,
How's it so available? You say it's available, what, how
How old do you have to be to get it?
Yeah, but then
So it doesn't mean it's legal. It's
no,
just
yeah,
available. You have to be 18.
18.
And
There's theft, there's.
lots of theft if it's at home, and they, you can, I mean, theft ask any shop, Mapleton or beyond, if they sell them, they get stolen. Anything with glass and vapes is behind counters and locks now as much as possible because they get stolen, but sometimes if it's in a home, if you've got 5 at home, often one of them's here. So it's
Or
hard.
it could be a home notion of it's not supposed to be as severe, right?
Right.
So that claim is, and it could be the notion at home that it's like, well, it's just like letting your kids have some caffeine, right? Like it's not a big deal. And maybe that's why it's more available.
Are they trying to ban like flavored tobacco and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, the market, we talked to kids about that part, and it seems to land a little bit, but I don't think it prevents use, unfortunately, but they are marketed towards kids.
Yeah, of course
And
they are.
it is the flavors, the packaging, the names, the
attractiveness of it.
all the, like, at the beginning of this year, the one that picture went around to all schools of like
A highlighter.
highlighter. I mean, you could have it sitting on your desk and half the people wouldn't know. So, and it's, so, and it's highly addictive. Like, that's the thing that I I don't think kids believe us at that point, and then they're hooked, and they are hooked. So, yeah.
Well, that's sad.
Talk to
It
your
is.
kids.
It is, cause often it is like, you say, sometimes it's in elementary, sometimes it's just in middle school, but like, they get addicted to it and then decide, wow, this was not I don't wanna be doing this anymore, but quitting is really, really quickly, yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Never gonna have like a children's book about like vaping now.
Right, like when you do second grade or something.
Right.
Yeah.
What's that?
Well,
You guys are all lucky you don't have little kids and
that's,
God,
some of us have grandkids.
Just middle
There's
schoolers.
plenty that can happen to
All right.
kids too.
Yep.
I was like, yeah. Yep.
But yeah, we did get past that mark, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they're all our kids. They're all,
Yeah.
they may not be our blood kids, but these are these kids that we
Yeah.
steward here. And
it's
that's just
sad.
And it's the hard part, like you know, some of it, and we love them through it and say like, this is not, I mean, the person you're hurting, with vape, in all honesty, a little, I can't have it publicly, like, you walk in a bathroom and everybody's vaping, because then it becomes the culture, and last year we were fighting that. I don't think we're there right now, hopefully. Let me not say that today. But that's improved, but the only person you're harming is yourself, and it's like,
It's really hard
cool,
to
you snuck
make
it
them
here
learn
and
that, though.
you found a place to do it and like, it's not harming me. I care for you. It makes me sad, but it's really harming you and your development.
That's a tough battle.
I mean,
to teach them.
Yeah, and I worry about the places, like, I want somebody who is already addicted, like, that transmission sort of like, oh, you're older and cool, and you're doing
Yep.
this, so like, it is,
Yeah, right now I'm not feeling that. This time last year we were all through basketball season. It was a fight.
Brutal.
So, but I'm scared to say that out loud. Let me like.
Yeah.
But I think
Knock
we're
on
back.
something.
So, cool.
okay. How about a motion to adjourn?
And then we adjourn.
Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor, thank you so much. Good meeting. Okay, so you're gonna write it in.
I am, and so I have like 2 really quick questions.